Welcome to Running on Reddit. Like and subscribe, or you'll be running on fumes. This actually happened about 5 months ago, but since my girlfriend, no longer engaged, refuses to let it go, and I honestly don't think I'm in the wrong, I figured I'd ask for an outside opinion. My girlfriend, then fiancé, were engaged to be married about 5 months ago. Now, my biological mother is a useless drug addict that I've never cared for, nor wished to pursue a relationship with. She left me with my grandma, and I was raised by her since birth. I have always, and will always consider my grandma my real mother, because she raised me, and cared for me all my life. About a year ago, me and my uncles, had to put grandma in a care home. This was a hard decision to make, but we simply didn't have the means to care for her properly anymore even with her carer's help. She had a lot of age-related health issues as well as dementia. Fast forward to my wedding. A few days beforehand we get a call from the care home saying grandma's condition was deteriorating rapidly and she most likely would pass away in the next day or so. My uncles and I immediately went down there and spent the entire time by her side. She doesn't pass as soon as expected, and it extends up until the day of my wedding. I called my fiancé multiple times and explained we had to postpone the wedding. Not only was I not in the best state of mind, again, she's my mother to me, but I needed to be by her side when she passed. I felt sick at the idea of not being there when I could. My fiancé was extremely, to put it mildly, opposed to this, and insisted I get ready as soon as possible. She obviously did not want months of planning to go to waste, and I understand that it definitely sucks. She also said there was no point in me being there, since she won't even know I'm there due to her dementia. I understand why it might seem like that to her, but to me, it didn't matter if she realized I was there or not. I just felt I had to be there with my uncles. She ended up passing the night of my wedding. My fiancé didn't talk to me for roughly 2 weeks before we finally began patching things up. She said I was completely a dumbhead to her and humiliated her by not showing up. She thinks that as my fiancé she should take top priority no matter what. My opinion is that weddings can be rescheduled, albeit costly, and being with my grandma when she passed was more important. So yeah, that's the backstory. We have both agreed to go with the majority judgment given here and move on from it. We'll answer questions when possible, but will refrain from defending myself in order to be fair to my GF. In my opinion, the guy was in the right. Yes, it sucks that planning went to waste, but that was his mother and he needed to be there. Probably wasn't necessary for the girlfriend to not talk to him for 2 weeks. May have dodged a bullet by not getting married to her. This was on my Facebook newsfeed this morning. Y'all, this has got me fired up, and I don't have anywhere to vent about it but here. I'm totally bride shaming. Backstory: one of my best friends, we'll call her Jill, is pregnant. Her due date is in 3 weeks. She's considered a high-risk pregnancy because of her age and some medical issues, and she's trying to do a VBAC. She actually has a home care nurse. She's supposed to be going to her sister-in-law's wedding this weekend. The wedding is at this giant screened-in pavilion place, and the parking lot is a literal half-mile from the pavilion. The bride has requested no electronic devices at the ceremony. The invite politely requests that cell phones, cameras and others be left in the cars in the parking lot and can be retrieved after the ceremony for the reception. First, Jill tried to gracefully bow out of going to the wedding 2 months ago. She called the bride, her husband's sister, when she was assigned the home health care nurse a couple months back, and explained what was going on, and that as sad as she would be to miss the wedding, 1, an unexpected guest was an imposition on the wedding, and 2, she didn't want to cause a disruption if her water broke or something else happened. She had 1 episode of fainting at this point. The bride was all, "Oh my gosh, don't be silly." She said the nurse was obviously welcome, and that as long as Jill felt physically able, she, the bride, wanted her there. Second, for the past couple of weeks, Jill has had a few episodes of false labor. She's had more dizzy and fainting spells, but they're so random that she might go a few days without any issues. She again calls the bride and says she doesn't want to take away from the bride's day. She just isn't sure if she should attend, and sister-in-law again gushes support and tells her it's no problem, please come. And wouldn't it be exciting to share a wedding anniversary with her new niece or nephew? Jill doesn't want to upset her and says she'll go. Third, Jill's hubby was called out of the country a few days ago and is currently halfway around the world and won't be back until next week. So right now, it's just Jill, the nurse, and 2 kids. I'm taking the kids in the event of wedding and or baby. Jill's husband calls his sister to tell her, sister is all. Oh, that's fine. I totally understand. He also requests that she allow Jill to be dropped off at the pavilion and that the car will be driven back to the parking lot so that Jill doesn't have to walk a half mile. Not a problem, is the response. Then, today, this is what has me in a rage. Sister-in-law texts Jill. She informs Jill that she's unhappy that Jill's husband has decided to leave the country and has cost her $200 for his dinner plate. She asks Jill if it's really necessary for her to be driven to the pavilion, as the catering and band vehicles will already be parked there. Since the nurse wasn't originally invited, she's not part of the guest list, and during the ceremony and reception, will have to wait in the car, in the parking lot, a half a mile away. When Jill requests that she at least be allowed to keep her phone on her so she can contact the nurse, she is told, yeah, that's a hard no. Jill explains that the nurse is a medical necessity, and Bridezilla responds with, so is my emotional support dog, but he'll have to wait in the car too. She then says, if Jill goes into labor, she guesses she will have someone run to the parking lot to tell the nurse. Jill says that she will at least sit in the back, so that if something happens, it will be the least disruptive, and is told that all immediate family sit up front. It won't look right if you don't. At the end of the messages, Jill finally said, I don't feel like I'm physically able to make it to the wedding. I'm really sorry if I'm making this about me. The bride responds saying that if Jill knew that all this was going to be happening, why did she bother RSVPing in the first place? Jill doesn't answer, calls her husband, and explains what's going on, and he's miffed about it, but he says sister will get over it. During their phone call, the bride texts again, and tells Jill to let her know when a good time would be for her to come and pick up her wedding gift and money card, since Jill decided to abandon the wedding. I was across the kitchen making food, and could hear him, and a naughty string of words that erupted from him, when she read him the text. He said to return the gift, and put the money back in the bank, because she wasn't getting jack from them. Bridezilla was not very nice about all that, saying everything was fine, giving a ton of support, and giving the green light on necessary accommodations. I can't believe that she would do a 180 like that, and not only deny the pregnant mother the accommodations they needed, but also guilt her when they decide to safely back out, like they had wanted from the very beginning. I was talking to my flatmate about this, and she suggested I post it here. I work in the wedding industry running a wedding flower company. I have been self-employed for 5 years and average 30 to 50 weddings per year. I always get asked if I deal with bridezillas. The answer yes. But you know who's worse? Bridezillas. It's a term I made up quite early into my career. This is what it's like to work with a bridezilla. At the consultation they are so cool, they don't care. It's just a wedding. No big deal. Totally just happy to go with the flow. Hey, they hired the pros for a reason, right? They repeatedly joke that I must love working with someone so not a bridezilla for once. OMG, I must be the most relaxed bride you've ever met, hahaha. Bride chillers get the quote and they love it, but can we change all the mention of pink to lilac? Why didn't they mention lilac and only pink at their consultation? Man, they just aren't fussed, but now it has to be lilac. That's all good, right? So you do another quote. I just spoke to mum. Can we add 20 buttonholes and make the bridesmaids bouquets smaller? No more changes, I promise. It's mum, dad, groom, sister etc causing them so much grief. Never their own indecision or inability to stick to a plan. So you do another quote. Thanks so much for quote 3, love it, lock us in. Deposit gets sent. Usually paid late. A year to 6 months passes. Now we are a few months out from the wedding. At this time Bridezilla realizes she has heaps of updates. So, bridesmaids' dresses aren't blush anymore. They're navy blue. Can we change the color scheme? She made this change in dresses probably 3 months ago, but was just so chill about it. Didn't think it was a big deal to update me. So you do a new quote. Thanks for quote 4. Why is there a change in price? Oh, and can we change XYZ? So you try to explain that this needs to stop happening. They exclaim they are totally chill. If changes can't be made then no big deal at all. So you write up quote 5. Bride chillers often just never reply either. So, it's time for full payment. Invoices sent. Oh crap, she forgot to mention that 2 months ago she asked another friend to be a bridesmaid as well. So can we make that 6 bridesmaids bouquets? So excited for the big day though. Payment comes in late. If I'm lucky, there'll be no changes come wedding week, but wedding day is always a disaster. She's usually unprepared and assumed I was throwing in heaps more extras than agreed. For example, Friday just bins bride. 2 days before the wedding, oh hey, can you place some candles for me too? I explained it wasn't usually okay, but it would be if it was just a few. I was assured it was totally chill, just a few candles. It was 130 individually bubble wrapped tea light candle votives, 3 different varieties, all needing to be placed in a pattern, each with 1 centimeter of water at the bottom of the votive. It took me an additional 1.5 hours at the venue. In conclusion, bride chillers think they are better than bridezillas. Their goal is to be a chilled out dream to work with. In reality, I'd rather a bridezilla any day. At least they know what the heck they want. Plus, if a bridezilla acts awful, it's easy and understandable to snap back and tell them their behavior is out of order. But how TF do you tell a client to stop being so relaxed? Haha, anyway, I hope that was interesting. I feel like we have all known people like that before, really chill and indecisive. Cool to be friends with, but if they are anything like this story, would hate to plan their wedding. You are regretfully invited to the wedding between my perfect son, the doctor, and some cheap 2-bit tramp whose name escapes me right now. The biggest disaster in my family's history will take place at 9 PM on Saturday, September 8th, and no doubt end in divorce, hopefully in time to still be eligible for an annulment. The overwhelmingly disappointing heartbreak of a ceremony will be followed by dinner, where nuts will be served, because watch your face has an allergy. If I received a wedding invitation like this, I would 100% attend. Let me know in the comments below if you would accept this invitation. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on the bell or you'll be running on fumes. See you in the next video.